You're not going to believe this. Seriously? So, I lied about being homeless for donations, and now I actually am. And guess what? Nobody believes me. Can you even imagine? It's like the universe just hates me. My name is Cheyenne, and I'm 24, and this whole thing is a total nightmare. It all started, I guess, a couple of years ago. I was, just cruising along, working my retail job, living in this tiny apartment in Dallas, barely making ends meet. Rent was a killer. Bills piled up. And my car, bless its heart, was always on its last leg. I was tired of being broke, tired of scrimping and saving, tired of never having anything nice. All my friends were going on trips, buying new clothes, getting their nails done, and I was just stuck. It wasn't fair. I spent way too much time scrolling through social media, seeing everyone else living their best lives. And then I saw it. A girl, someone I vaguely knew from high school, had posted this really dramatic story about how she lost her apartment, how she was sleeping in her car, how hard it was, and people were just pouring out their hearts, sending her money, offering support. It was incredible. And I thought to myself, that's interesting. An idea sparked, not gonna lie. It felt a little bit like a light bulb going off. What if I could do that? I mean, I wasn't actually homeless, but I was pretty close to it. Financially speaking, I was struggling, so it wasn't a total lie. Right. Just a little embellishment. A creative interpretation of my current situation. I started small, a vague post about tough times and hitting rock bottom. Nothing too specific, just enough to get people's attention. And then the messages started rolling in. Are you okay? What happened? People were genuinely concerned. It was wild. I even got a few small donations. Nothing life-changing, but enough for a decent meal or to put some gas in my car. It felt good. Really good. It was easy money, and people were sympathetic. That's when I decided to really lean into it. I started crafting a full-blown narrative. I said I'd been laid off from my job, which wasn't true. I still worked there, but my hours were cut sometimes. So again, not a total lie. I talked about how my landlord was a monster and evicted me for no reason. I even made up this sob story about my family not being able to help because they were dealing with their own medical emergencies. I knew it was a lot, but I figured the more dramatic, the more people would feel bad for me. Between you and me, I was a genius. I started posting pictures, not of myself, of course. That would be too obvious, but I'd find pictures online of, like, a beat-up car in a dark parking lot, or a lonely-looking motel room, and I'd add a filter to make it look even more depressing. I wrote long, rambling posts about how cold it was, how scared I was, how I just wanted a warm bed and a hot meal. I'd use emotional manipulation, describing how I just wanted to shut down and disappear. I poured my heart out, or at least what looked like it. And the money started coming in, not just a little bit, but real money, hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. People were so generous. My old high school teachers, distant relatives, even complete strangers who saw my posts through shared networks. It was amazing. I used the money to pay my rent, obviously, but I also treated myself. New clothes, manicures, dinners out. I finally felt like I was living. I'd post vague thank you messages, always hinting that I was still struggling, but so grateful for the kindness of strangers. I had to keep up the facade. My public persona was this poor, struggling victim. My private one, well, I was living pretty comfortably. There was this one guy, Ethan. He was a sweetie. We had gone to the same high school, but we never really talked much back then. He messaged me after seeing one of my posts, saying how sorry he was to hear what I was going through. He was a too nice guy, completely over-accommodating, always asking if I needed anything, offering to bring me food, even suggesting I could crash at his place if I needed to. I always politely declined, of course, because that would blow my cover. But I kept him on the hook. He was a good source of validation, always telling me how strong I was, how I deserved better. Ethan was completely smitten. He'd message me every day, checking in, asking how I was doing. I played it cool, always a little distant, a little mysterious. I'd tell him about my bad days on the street, how lonely I was, and he'd just pour out his heart, offering whatever he could. He sent me money a few times, too, just because he wanted to help. He was so easy to manipulate. I could get him to do anything just by acting vulnerable, which was a real laugh, considering how much I was actually faking it. My friends knew, of course, not that I was homeless, but that I was pulling this scam. They thought it was hilarious. We'd laugh about it over drinks, counting up my latest haul. You're a genius, Cheyenne, they'd say, and I'd just shrug, pretending it was no big deal. They were all in on it. In a way, they'd share my posts, add their own little comments about how sad my situation was. It was a whole network of deception, and I was the mastermind. I got really good at it. I learned how to tweak my story, how to make it sound even more believable. I'd add little details, like how I found a stray dog and shared my last crust of bread with it, or how I saw another homeless person and felt bad for them, even though I was supposedly worse off. People ate it up. The money kept rolling in. I started thinking about upgrading my car, maybe even moving to a nicer apartment. This was the life. But then things started to get complicated. The more money I got, the more people wanted to help in other ways. People would offer to let me stay at their houses, or bring me food, or even offer me jobs. I had to come up with elaborate excuses every time. Oh, I found a shelter for the night. I'm staying with a friend from out of town. You wouldn't know them. It was exhausting, keeping all the lies straight. And Ethan, he started getting more serious. He kept asking to meet up, to check on me. He even showed up at my old job once, trying to find me. I had to pretend I was just there visiting a friend, and then run off before he saw me clocked in. It was a close call. He was starting to get suspicious. I could tell. He'd ask probing questions, like, where do you shower? Or how do you charge your phone? And I'd just get defensive. Say he was being dramatic? That it wasn't that serious? That he didn't understand what it was like. I'd turn it around on him, make him feel bad for asking. It usually worked. He'd always back off, apologizing. Then came the really big donation. This older woman, a distant aunt of a friend, she sent me a huge amount of money, like enough to really make a difference. She messaged me, saying she wanted to help me get back on my feet, that she believed in me, and I was over the moon. This was it. This was my big break. I used some of the money to pay off my car, used some to pay off a few credit cards, and the rest, I decided to really treat myself. I bought this amazing designer purse, something I'd always wanted. It was ridiculous. I know, but I felt like I deserved it. After all, I had worked hard for that money, putting on this whole act, and that's where everything went south. I was so excited about my new purse. I just had to show it off. So I took a picture of it, sitting on my new fancy apartment coffee table because, yeah, I moved to a much nicer place with the donation money. I posted it on Facebook with a caption like, treating myself after a long, tough week. So grateful for the little things. I thought it was subtle. I thought no one would notice. Oh, but they noticed. Within an hour, my phone started blowing up. Messages, comments, all of them angry. I thought you were homeless. Where did you get that money? You're a scammer? People were furious. They were calling me out, sharing screenshots of my homeless posts next to my new purse post. The whole thing just exploded. Ethan was one of the first to message me. Cheyenne, what is this? I gave you money. I believed you. He was hurt. He was devastated. He called me a liar, a manipulator, and I tried to gaslight him. Of course. What are you talking about? It's just a purse. It was a gift. You're being dramatic? But he didn't fall for it this time. He was done. My friends, they all vanished. One by one, they unfriended me, blocked me. The ones who had been in on it with me suddenly acted like they had no idea what I was talking about, that they had been misled by me too. Traitors. My social life collapsed completely. My public persona wasn't just gone, it was replaced by pure hatred. Complete social collapse. Everyone knew, and everyone hated me. My reputation was destroyed. Beyond repair? The worst part. That old woman, the one who sent me all that money, she saw the posts, and she wasn't happy. She sent me a message. A really cold, angry message. She said she felt used, betrayed, and then, a few weeks later, I got a letter, a legal letter. She was suing me. For fraud? She wanted all her money back. And she wanted more. For emotional distress. For all the legal fees. My lawyer told me I was in deep trouble. I had no defense. All the evidence was online. In my own posts. The court case was a nightmare. Every single lie I had told. Every fake sob story. Every picture I had used. It all came out. The judge was not sympathetic. Not one bit. I tried to play the victim. To cry. To say I was just going through a hard time and made some mistakes. But it didn't work. The judgment came down. And it was brutal. I had to pay back all the money. Plus a huge penalty. It was more money than I had ever seen in my life. And I had no job because I'd been fired after all the social media drama went public. My professional destruction was complete. No one would hire me now. I was blacklisted. I lost everything. My fancy apartment. I couldn't afford it anymore. My car. It got repossessed because I couldn't make the payments. My designer purse. I had to sell it for pennies on the dollar, just to try and make a dent in what I owed. My bank account was empty. I had nothing, and now, here I am, actually homeless, sleeping in my car, just like I pretended to be. Sometimes I park in those dark, lonely parking lots. Just like the pictures I used to post, it's freezing cold at night. I haven't had a hot meal in days. I'm scared. And the irony, it's soul-crushing. I try to reach out to people. I try to explain what happened, to tell them the truth this time. I know I messed up. I'd say, but I'm really homeless now. I really need help. And you know what they say? Nothing. Or worse. They laugh. They tell me I deserve it. They say I'm finally getting what's coming to me. They say, good. You made your bed. Now lie in it. Nobody believes me. Not my old friends. Not Ethan. Not even the people who used to pour out their hearts and their wallets for me. They just see the liar. The scammer. They see the girl who pretended to be homeless for donations. And now that I actually am, they have no sympathy. It's like a cruel joke. Every time I ask for help, I just get silence. Or worse, scorn? It's a complete reversal of fortune. I'm experiencing the same treatment I inflicted, amplified and inescapable. I built my whole identity around this false narrative of being a victim. And now it's all stripped away. I sit in my cold car, shivering, and I think about how stupid I was. Not for lying, necessarily. I still think it was a good idea at the time, but for getting caught, for being so careless with that stupid purse. If I had just been smarter, more careful, none of this would have happened. It's everyone else's fault. Really, the people who were so quick to judge, who wouldn't give me a second chance. They're the real villains here. I don't care anymore about any of them. Ethan, my old friends, that old woman, they can all go to hell. I'm not sorry for what I did. Not really. I'm just sorry I got caught. I'm sorry it backfired on me. This is all just a big misunderstanding. And now I'm stuck, alone, and nobody cares.